I'm Stephanie Burns.
And I'm Greg Booth, and we live in San Mateo, California.
Our first interaction with WildCare was last year, shortly after we went into lockdown with COVID. We were following the San Francisco Bay Osprey website and their nestlings. One of the fledglings, Tam, on his first or second fledge became injured, and the San Francisco Osprey group took him to WildCare for rehabilitation. We live in a pretty close-knit neighborhood, and one day a neighbor texted out to our cul-de-sac and said they had discovered a fledgling.
And we're kind of known in the neighborhood as bird enthusiasts.
Or bird nerds.
Or bird nerds. and oh my gosh, it was this tiny little fuzzball. And of course, since we knew about WildCare, we knew exactly what to do. So we put it in a dark place overnight, and I woke up the next morning and drove up to San Rafael and was able to drop him off. Well, I thought it was sort of like an emergency rescue hospital because our first introduction to it was Tam, but then it turned out it's so much more than that. We ended up getting a video tour of the place, and it's substantial, and you guys are responsible for all kinds of animals, and so I guess my first impression was, wow.
I am so delighted that WildCare is in San Rafael. I love the fact that we have an agency here that isn't anywhere else. I don't think there are any other agencies exactly like WildCare in even the Bay Area. So it is a resource, yes, for local residents, but really all of Marin County, and for people that are in the East Bay or the North Bay, that they can come and learn what they can do if they find an injured animal.
Here at WildCare, we treat between 3,000 and 4,000 animals a year, over 200 species, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. WildCare is, of course, about rescuing animals, but it is very much about the humans that are involved as well. And the look on people's faces of relief when they show up at the door and they have a place to bring these animals, and how grateful they are that there's a place that they can take these animals where they know they'll be taken care of. I think one of the worst stories is that we had a woman who saw a mama duck get hit by a car with her ducklings following her. And when we took them in and said we would take them and release them, when they were ready, she literally broke down into tears right at our front desk. And the emotion of the rescue and seeing what had happened, and she's so grateful. Like, I don't know what else I would have done, and it was such a horrible thing and to see and witness. And then we got to invite her to the release so she could open the boxes and let those baby ducklings go when it was time. That's what we're here for, and I think that kind of sums up what it's like to rescue a wild animal. It's incredibly stressful and scary, and to have a place like WildCare where you can bring them and get them the best care possible it's about the people too. It's not just the animals.
I think there are a lot of reasons why people come to WildCare, but I think the primary one is just to have that really up-close experience with an animal. Core to all of our programs here at WildCare is to reach back to Mrs. Terwilliger's teaching methods. And so, for instance, we take children on nature hikes where they can have that experience of smelling things, of touching things, of watching, observing, making conclusions or guesses, questions. All of that helps children discover things on their own. We have school groups come to our courtyard, and they get to experience our non-releasable wildlife ambassadors and learn about their stories. Why are they here? What are the things that we as humans shouldn't do so that we don't have these animals have to live out their lives in captivity? We bring taxidermy and biofax into the classroom via our nature vans. We bring 3 of our ambassador animals into the classroom, and that is so impactful for them to see those animals, beak to nose, if you will.
I've heard about WildCare for a long time. Fortunately, I've never needed to have them come and rescue any wild animals, but they did rescue my city when we were at the verge of making a big decision. When I was mayor of Belvedere 4 years ago, we had a group of citizens who got together, and they started researching what they perceived as a dangerous deer issue. And they ended up meeting a fellow who suggested they sterilize the deer, and that this would be a good way to control the population. Needless to say, this was a very controversial idea in our town, and what really helped was when WildCare came in and educated all of us about the life cycle of the deer and what their perceived dangerous behavior actually was, and how we could mitigate that with fencing, understanding the seasons when they are mating, and what a lot of people perceived as being aggressive deer behavior was just the deer protecting their kids. And you know, we can all relate to that.
I'm Shelly Ross. I am a clinic volunteer. I've been here for 9 years. I'm also on the foster team for raccoons. I started out with squirrels and quickly switched over to raccoons. And it's funny because whenever somebody tells me, I hate raccoons, I don't like raccoons, I ask them if they have kids. And most of the time they have kids, and I say, so you dislike raccoons for the same reason you love your kids. They're smart, they're inquisitive, they're problem solvers, they're troublemakers. All the things you love about your kids are what you dislike about wildlife in general. Well, the best part about being on a foster team is the release. It's why we do this, it's what we want the outcome to be, and when you release these animals and they're looking around and the whole world is new to them and it's all so exciting and so big, it is just the best feeling ever.
What I love most about WildCare is what happens in between the margins. It's sort of the magic that happens every day at this organization. It's the people, staff, volunteers, rescuers, the donors, and the community. And that makes this place really special and unique in a way that I have never encountered in other nonprofits that I've both been involved in, where I've volunteered and where I've given my support.
We're so fortunate to live in a place like Marin, where we really are living with nature every day. Nature is an important part of our life, and WildCare is an important introduction to nature.
And understanding that humanity is expanded to our furry and our flying creatures, I think that's a really important lesson. And WildCare provides that in a way that is really accessible in an incredible location. Ultimately, what makes WildCare so special is everyone's passion for animals and for wildlife and for making the world a better place.
Just want to thank you for all the good work that you're doing. It's super important, and we're very fortunate to have something like WildCare in the Bay Area community and, you know, keeping our wildlife thriving.
Yeah, and we're both excited to be able to continue to help WildCare into the future.
It's just nice to be able to do something where there's nobody's thanking you. The animals aren't thanking you when you release them, and it's just you're doing it because you care, and it's just a really wonderful thing to be able to do. I tell people that this is the best thing I do with my life.